Bonjour tout le monde. Hello and welcome everyone. Look, I can't tell you what a great pleasure it is to be here with you in Bridgewater today. And before I get too far, I'd be remiss if I didn't get a shout out to everybody in Pictou County who I understand is tuning in through a live stream right now. My name is Sean Fraser. I'm Canada's Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. But today, more importantly, I'm a Member of Parliament from Nova Scotia who represents, among other things, the Granton Michelin plant in my hometown of Pictou County. Look, let me tell you just over the course of the next minute or so how important today is. The main reason that I got involved in politics in the first place was to create opportunities for people who grew up in Nova Scotia to stay in Nova Scotia and raise their families in Nova Scotia. 7.5 years ago, when I made the decision to run for office, I had moved out west for work. I got 5 sisters. Not one of them was living and working in their hometown. If you had asked us what we wanted to do 10 years before, we wouldn't have known the answer, but we would have told you we wanted to live around home and raise our kids where our parents raised us. Companies like Michelin, who've made long-term investments in our province, create opportunities for more families to live and work in the communities that they've always called home. We did a tour of the plant before the announcement that we're about to share, and what struck me more than anything was the people who work here don't just have a job here, they get a career here. They're raising their families in the communities where their parents are still able to get to know their grandkids, and as a local representative who comes from rural Nova Scotia, nothing feels more important than that. We have a heck of a bit of news to share with you today, and I'm not going to spoil the secret. But before I have the opportunity to welcome the Premier and Prime Minister to the microphone, I think it's important that we give a warm Nova Scotia welcome to the CEO of Michelin, Alexis Garcin. Bienvenue en Nouvelle-Écosse, and the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Minister Fraser, for your welcome and support today. Good morning, Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Houston. I thank each of our distinguished representatives and all of our guests for joining us on a great day of celebration that Michelin teams share with our Bridgewater community. It is really my privilege to announce that Michelin will invest $140 million to expand the Bridgewater plant in the months ahead, potentially creating up to 70 new jobs associated in the investment in this factory. And in fact, the Bridgewater investment joins a total of $300 million that Michelin North America will invest in Nova Scotia, including our 2 other sites in Pictou and Waterville. And as you know, we recently celebrated our 50 years anniversary of manufacturing in Nova Scotia, and I believe that these investments will strengthen the competitiveness of Bridgewater and its sister plants for the coming 50 years. And I want to congratulate the Michelin teams here in Bridgewater for making this success possible. Today we celebrate the rewards of your resilience, your innovation, your creativity. And you prove once more what I'm used to say, that people at Michelin makes it possible. You make Michelin every day. And I think together with your sister plants in Pictou and Waterville, you have strengthened the long-term competitiveness of our industrial base in Canada by delivering quality performances in this factory every day. And I want to thank you for that. So for our guests, I want to briefly explain the strategic importance of these investments, as we are adding critical capacity to meet customer demand in several of the most important growth categories in North America. First, the transition to electric vehicles that we could see on the shop floor, the expanding light truck and recreational off-road categories, and last but not least, the greener, more fuel-efficient freight transportation. In fact, these Nova Scotia investments complement other recent investments worth more than $240 million for Michelin plants in Spartanburg and Greenville, South Carolina, that advance Michelin Group's ambitions in North America. The passenger vehicle trend toward larger tires fitting crossovers, SUVs, and light trucks will continue at least for the next 10 years. In fact, recreational vehicles will comprise about 70% of the total car park by 2030. And to illustrate this trend, the Bridgewater team will produce a 24-inch all-season tire for the 2024 Cadillac Escalade SUV. And you should also know that the 24-inch winter tire for the same vehicle is made nearby in Pictou. And I celebrate this fantastic innovation and collaboration of our teams across Nova Scotia who made these industrial successes possible. This was paramount in positioning our company to respond to the massive market transition. If we now shift our attention from extremely large to extremely efficient, let's think about the booming EV markets. EV sales today represent 6 to 8% of passenger vehicles, but current projections suggest that EV and hybrids together will comprise at least 50% of the passenger vehicle sales by 2030. And I believe Michelin delivers the best tires for EVs today, maximizing performance while extending the vehicle's range up to 60 kilometers. So you see that we are perfectly positioned to answer the consumers' demand today and tomorrow. And that's why these investments are critical so that we can seize the massive opportunity as the market transforms. This project also includes investment in a Waterville facility where we produce tires for commercial vehicles. And at this plant, we will produce our latest commercial tire technology that can improve fuel efficiency by up to 6% in certain applications. And these tires can save large fleets, as you understand, thousands of liters in fuel consumption and prevent tons of emissions over time. So as an all-sustainable company, today's announcement demonstrates that Michelin pursues the optimal balance across people and profit and planet in every business decision we make. And we're improving the environmental footprint of our products every year. We've already discussed longevity and efficiency, or running resistance, but you should also know that already today, Michelin makes a road-ready passenger tire with 45% sustainable materials. Already today, Michelin makes a road-ready bus tire with 58% sustainable materials. And last June, Michelin raced at the 24 Hours of Le Mans with a tire comprising 53% sustainable materials. So you see that we are well ahead of schedule to achieve a passenger tire with 100% sustainable materials by 2050 without compromising safety, efficiency, or any other performances. And we are just as focused on the environmental performance of the factories that make these tires. So the investment that we announced today will contribute to reducing the emissions from our factories and becoming more electric with our industrial processes. Our goal is to achieve a carbon-neutral manufacturing in every site by 2050. So Michelin business practices in Bridgewater and across Nova Scotia have earned deep respect in our communities across the province over the past 50 years. And again, we owe that to our people here at Bridgewater, Waterville, and Pictou. Michelin currently employs about 3,600 people in Nova Scotia, and we represent an additional 6,000 retirees. That's nearby 10,000 families who are directly supported by our businesses. And we know that a thriving and growing manufacturing family here in Bridgewater contributes to thriving schools, businesses, sports, arts, and culture across generations in the communities around these plants. This is the very essence of Michelin's approach to manufacturing, which we can trace back many decades in France, and now we see thriving in other countries around the world. Lastly, on behalf of the Michelin Group, I offer my gratitude for the spirit of partnership that our company has enjoyed with leaders at each level of government in Canada, federal, provincial, and in our local communities. Each one of the organizations and the citizen you represent make a specific contribution to a vibrant and stable society. And I want to thank you for your efforts to create and maintain an attractive business environment for manufacturers. Your focus on major issues like tax policy and infrastructure make Nova Scotia a very competitive location for manufacturing. And your focus on business climate and attractivity allows us to focus even more on the people who make it possible here through topics like compensation, growth, and development that create long-lasting value on multiple levels across several generations. So in closing, once more, I congratulate the Michelin teams in Bridgewater, Pic 2 and Waterville for your achievements. I also extend my gratitude to our partners who are here today, representing all levels of the governments. Today, we mark the beginning of a new journey and a new chapter of growth of Michelin in North America. And now, please help me in welcoming Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Thank you for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Merci, Alexis. I have a whole bunch of dignitaries I want to thank, but I want to start by the people who usually get thanked last, but the people without whom we wouldn't be here today. I want to thank all the incredible Michelin workers here in Bridgewater. I think you know that a big international company like Michelin that has plants and fabrication facilities all around the world has choices and options. And yes, as we'll say, Tim and I stepped up with cash to encourage them to come here and show that we're willing to invest in the future of Michelin here in Nova Scotia and in Bridgewater. But ultimately, the decision that Michelin's going to take is grounded in those things, because every jurisdiction would be willing to invest to draw in a larger plant and more jobs. You are the competitive advantage that Canada has. The quality of the work that is done here and in plants like it across the country is the one thing that continues to be the strongest selling point as we're drawing in investments from around the world to come to Canada to build the solutions that not just Canada, but the world is going to need for the future. And I've been to a lot of plants across this country, and Rita is very and rightly proud of you, as everyone is. But very rarely have I seen the level of almost awe in the quality and the caliber of work, of creativity, of innovation done here that is, for me, exactly where Canada wants to be as we remain competitive in the coming years. So thank you for everything you've done over the past 50 years. I obviously want to thank Andrew, the CEO of Michelin Canada, Rita here at the plant, and everyone for having us here at this Michelin plant in Bridgewater. Happy to be here with Sean, François-Philippe, Cody, Alina, and Darren. And it's really good to be here with Premier Houston. We have worked together on so many files about creating opportunities and growth for Nova Scotians, building a greener economy that continues to deliver great jobs for people as we continue to welcome in people from across the country and around the world who just love it here in Nova Scotia and want to keep living here and raise their families here. It's always great to work with you, Tim. And I'm really, really pleased to be here, of course, with Mayor Mitchell as well, who I have to tell you, you guys probably all know this being local, but David is extraordinarily thoughtful and passionate about growing Bridgewater, and the vision that he and the council have had that has led to this happening has been a huge, huge part of the success we're celebrating here today. So thank you, David, for all your leadership on this. Mais avant de commencer, je veux souligner que nos pensées sont avec les familles à Amqui qui vivent des moments extrêmement difficiles. Cette tragédie nous a tous bouleversés à travers le Québec, à travers le Canada. Nous sommes de tout cœur avec les familles qui sont affectées. On remercie les premiers répondants qui ont été là dans des moments extrêmement difficiles. Et on va continuer d'être là pour soutenir cette communauté dans les jours très difficiles à venir. But it's great to be back here in Nova Scotia to talk about jobs and our work to build a strong economy right across Canada. More specifically, it's great to be here in Bridgewater today. Because if we want small communities to be thriving, vibrant places where people can be proud of their work, where young families get to stay and grow, we need good jobs and great careers. And that's what today's announcement is all about. We're investing to help modernize Michelin's facilities here in Nova Scotia, which is securing people's jobs at this plant and creating new positions too. Of course, this isn't just good for your local economy, it's also good for the environment. More and more people want clean technologies in their lives, including electric vehicles. And we know that EVs require tires that are designed differently. These new modernized facilities will be able to manufacture tires that will respond to the global demand for EVs. And at the same time, Michelin will reduce pollution in their operations by electrifying key parts of the manufacturing process. So, like most Canadians, I came into this day saying, okay, I understand that EV tires are probably slightly different from regular tires, but why? So I asked Rita, and I asked Troy, and I asked Mike, and I asked Jamie about the processes here. And the answers I got were absolutely fascinating. First of all, EVs have a lot more torque, so the grip of the tire onto the wheel is really, really important. Noise is key. If you have a really quiet engine and all you're hearing is really loud tires, that could be a problem. Really quiet engine and you're hearing loud tires, that's an issue you have to have. There's all sorts of efficiency challenges as well. And the work that's being done here at the Bridgewater plant by these extraordinary workers and figuring that out, in building those solutions for the future, is something that is really, really exciting to see and that people should be extraordinarily proud of. Aujourd'hui, on s'engage à soutenir Michelin pour aider à moderniser ses installations ici en Nouvelle-Écosse. Dans ces nouvelles installations modernisées, Michelin va produire des pneus qui vont répondre à la demande mondiale en matière de véhicules électriques. En même temps, Michelin va réduire la pollution liée à ses activités en électrifiant des éléments de son processus de fabrication. C'est une modernisation qui va créer et maintenir de bons emplois partout en Nouvelle-Écosse. So I want to take a moment again to thank our great Canadian workers here in Nova Scotia and across the country. Like I said, it's because of you that companies like Michelin continue to invest in Canada. It's because of you that we're able to build a clean tech ecosystem here and right across the country, with lithium from Alberta, rare earth elements from the north, nickel from Labrador and Northern Ontario, clean steel from Hamilton, clean aluminum from Quebec. And it's great workers like you who produce battery materials along the Avalon Peninsula, and assemble batteries and EVs along the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence, EVs that roll on tires made here in Nova Scotia. 8 years ago, when we first got elected, we talked about climate change. And I know for Canadians, the environment matters deeply, but the fight against climate change for decades was always put in the context of, oh, well, you can either protect the environment or you can grow the economy. You can't do both together. And 8 years ago, when we got elected, we said, no, no, no. Not only can you do them both together, that's actually the only way to both build a strong economy for the future and protect the environment. You have to do them together. And I will admit that during those first few years, there was a lot of skepticism. There was a lot of people saying, I don't know, you're taking a hit on the economy. But what we're seeing right now, as Canada has moved into the second place in the world in terms of battery supply chains, as increasingly companies from around the world are coming to say, can we produce our goods here with cleaner energy? And Canada being 80% clean energy already is a huge advantage that we're continuing to build on. Are we going to be able to source critical minerals and resources sustainably with both environmental responsibility, because that's what customers around the world want, and good union or good, well-paid, middle-class jobs that are going to support families and the communities they live in? These are things increasingly people around the world are looking for. And that approach that we have been building deliberately is really starting to bear fruit. And it's bearing fruit right here because we get to do the very happy job of explaining and demonstrating the extraordinary work ethic, quality, integrity, and abilities of Canadian workers themselves. That is what is so exciting. So as we move into this future, as we build these EV tires as we build these EVs that'll be powered by green energy, including clean energy generated by wind turbines here in Nova Scotia. We're exactly on the right track. And it's not just companies like Michelin that are noticing. Just yesterday, the largest car maker in Europe, Volkswagen, announced that it has chosen Canada to build its very first battery plant in North America. François-Philippe and I and many others worked really hard to attract this major investment. It's Europe's largest automaker, and it's a major investment also in a very small community of St. Thomas, Ontario. With our highly skilled workforce, our clean energy, our abundance of critical minerals, and our access to markets, Canada will continue to be an attractive investment destination with everything companies need to grow. Que ce soit pour les minéraux critiques, la fabrication de véhicules électriques ou d'autres domaines, le Canada devient rapidement un fournisseur de technologies propres dont le monde carboneutre aura besoin. Avec des projets comme celui de Michelin, non seulement on bâtit une économie forte, mais on poursuit aussi notre lutte contre les changements climatiques. On s'assure que nos enfants vont pouvoir respirer de l'air pur pour les générations à venir. And another way we're fighting climate change while standing up for families and growing the economy is through pollution pricing. For example, a family of 4 here in Bridgewater will get a climate action incentive check worth $272 every 3 months starting this July. That's over $1,000 a year, and it more than makes up for the extra costs because of the carbon price. So it's how you fight climate change, how you encourage companies and businesses to innovate, while at the same time putting more money back in people's pockets. Good jobs, clean air, support for families, that's what we'll continue to deliver for people here in Nova Scotia and right across the country. We don't have to choose between the environment and the economy. What we're building here and across the country makes it obvious that protecting the environment and growing the economy go hand in hand. So thank you for everything all of you have done to be here to get to this point today, and it's with great pleasure that I now pass it over to Premier Houston.
Good morning, everyone. What an incredible day. This is such a great day. I'm so pleased to be here. The Prime Minister's here. It's always a good day when the Prime Minister's in Nova Scotia. Thank you for your support of Nova Scotians. Federal ministers. We have three provincial cabinet ministers here with us today. Almost enough for a quorum. Mr. Hallman, Mr. Maslin, Mr. Corkum-Greek, Mr. President Rita, thank you, and of course your mayor. You have a wonderful mayor here. But each and every one of them is here to support you. We're here to support you. The Prime Minister said it very well, but I would just say 3,600 active employees, almost 10,000 families supported by Michelin. Thank you for what you do. You're our coaches, you're our volunteers, you're our community leaders, and we really appreciate your commitment to Nova Scotia and the communities you live in. None of this would be happening without you. That's for absolute sure. 52 years ago, Michelin made the decision to establish their very first manufacturing facility here in Nova Scotia, for first in North America here in Nova Scotia. We are very, very proud of the relationship we've had, and you continue to be a major employer investing in the province. Thank you. We're very proud of the relationship we have with you for sure. Time and time again, Michelin has said yes to Nova Scotia. Over and over, you've said yes to Nova Scotia. And we notice and we appreciate it. You are an international leader. Alexis mentioned the quality of the product that's produced here. I have to tell you, I had a chance to go to the test track, the proving ground, and they put me in a very high-performance vehicle with a little bit of rain and stuff, and a competitor's tire. Said, go as fast as you can. And I was sliding all over. And then they put me in a less high-performance vehicle with a high-quality Michelin tire and said, go as fast as you can, and it was a lot faster. It was incredibly striking to me to see those two relationships one after the other. So thank you for the product that you're producing. You are showing that Nova Scotia can be a leader on the world stage by your commitment here. We can for sure. As Premier, I'm obviously very focused on fixing healthcare and paying for the fixing of healthcare. Those are my two things. So you can't pay for the fixing of healthcare without growing the economy, attracting new businesses, but supporting those businesses that are already here. So we'll work hard to attract new businesses here. But we also have to make sure that we're there to support those companies who are committed to this province, like Michelin is for sure. We'll do that. We'll do our part. I know the municipality is doing its part to support Michelin and grow this part of the province as well, and we'll work together in partnership. So as we look to growing the economy, last fall as a province, we enhanced the capital investment tax credit. We made some significant changes to the capital investment tax credit to make sure that we can encourage those types of investments in this province. And I'm very pleased to say that today, just as Michelin is saying yes to Nova Scotia is saying yes to Michelin. We're happy to support this project through the capital investment tax credit to the tune of over $61 million. We are here to support those who support Nova Scotia, and you have shown us that you support Nova Scotia, and we are happy to invest in this project and support each and every one of you and what's happening here. So thank you for that. The people of Michelin know that they have a strong partner in our provincial government. We care very deeply about the success of Michelin. We want to see Michelin thriving here for decades to come. So each and every one of you can certainly finish out your career here, and then your children can finish their career, and your grandchildren, and so on and so forth. Generation after generation should have the option of working for an employer like Michelin in a province like Nova Scotia. We will do our part to make sure that Michelin can thrive in this province, and we'll do it in partnership with Michelin and in partnership with the municipality in every sense, and of course our partners in the federal government. So thank you. What a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you today. You've definitely earned this, and let's continue to do some great things together. Thank you so much. And now it's my privilege to pass the mic to my colleague, Minister Corkum-Grieve.
Thank you, Premier, and good morning, everyone. In fact, great morning, everyone. I want to echo the sentiments of Premier Houston that we are thrilled that Michelin has chosen to continue to grow in and with Nova Scotia. Because this province, we are writing a brand new story. That story is being told with a renewed sense of confidence, and is fueled by historic population growth, by innovation across all the sectors of our economy, by green energy opportunities and long-standing relationships with companies like Michelin. And most of all, it is a story that is being told and grown by all of you. And I could not be more proud to stand here today as the Minister of Economic Development for this province, but as the MLA for Lunenburg, and to walk through, to take the tour. Some of you shook more hands this morning than you've shook since the last time you got married. And to hear folks from my constituency and from this county and from Queens County and from southwestern Nova Scotia working in this plant speak with such expertise, passion, and pride about what you do. I may be biased, but I'd still be right to say that we live in the best place in the world. Nova Scotia has everything a person would want, from vibrant urban centers, close-knit rural communities, the picturesque fishing villages, 13,000 kilometers of stunning coastline. But you and I know you can't eat the scenery. So we need to work with partners within Nova Scotia and global partners, realizing the truth that a company like Michelin can go and grow anywhere in the world. The fact that year after year, for 52 years and counting, Michelin continues to show, its team continues to choose Nova Scotia, says so much. Michelin knows what we know, that Nova Scotia is not only one of the greatest places to live, but a great place to do business, with a workforce that is second to none and a government that is ready and open for business like never before. As MLA for Lunenburg, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some colleagues who are here today. They include the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, the Honourable Tim Holman, as well the Minister of Public Works, my colleague, the Honourable Kim Masland, who is here. She is the MLA for Queens and feeling much as I do as she sees friends and neighbours here today. Minister Becky Drouin, who is the Minister of Education and Early Childhood Development, also the MLA for Lunenburg West, unfortunately could not be here today, but she sends along her greetings and her excitement for this announcement and our government's support of this expansion. As you can imagine, Michelin is a very important employer in our communities. In fact, Minister Masland has both a brother and a husband who work here, while Minister Drouin herself worked here many years ago. Your company's commitment to greening operations aligns directly with our government's plan for growing a green and sustainable economy, an economy that all Nova Scotians can participate in and benefit from. Michelin's plants here, and as well as in Pictou and Kings County, are prime examples of the fact that large global businesses can succeed in small jurisdictions and regions. Our 52-year shared history is one of collaboration, of innovation, and leadership. But beyond that, I know that Michelin cares about you who are its people, about the communities in which it resides. Prior to politics, I worked for a little art school over in Lunenburg, and we would take amazing performers into schools, and we were able to do that thanks to Michelin. And I hope that some of your children and grandchildren return to the kitchen table at night, and when you said, "What happened at school today?" hopefully they weren't like my kids and said nothing. Hopefully they've told you about those amazing things of which you are a part. This next chapter is an exciting one for Michelin and for Nova Scotia. But folks, today is your day. Please embrace and celebrate. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to welcome the guy that sent me a text at 12:18 a.m. saying, "Minister, I have landed in Halifax and I can't wait to see you," Minister Champagne.
Good morning, everyone, and believe it or not, I did that to the Premier as well, to make sure. What a day, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, Volkswagen, today, Michelin, and by the way, it's only Tuesday, so imagine what a week we're going to have, and I want to say, what a pleasure to be back, and this is really, really And I think the Prime Minister said that this is a big vote of confidence in Canada. It's a big vote of confidence in our auto sector. And it's a big vote of confidence in our workers. And I'm so glad because it's almost like a family reunion. You know, we met almost everyone this morning at the cafeteria. And it's really, really nice to be back and to look at the future together. But let me say it, and I know, you know, one thing I've learned in politics is that when you're about the last speaker, you have to be quick. But trust me, I'm not known to be quick when I speak. So, but the red light is flashing, so I know what it means in the plant, by the way, Alexis. So I have to make sure that I'm not too long. But give me just a moment, first of all, to thank the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, I want to say thank you to your vision, because thanks to your vision, today we are seeing Canada being the green supply of choice to the world. And I cannot think of a better example of what we're doing here this morning. So Prime Minister, I want to say thank you because you had the courage, you had the vision when we came in government to say that is the path forward for a country, this is the path forward to the world. And now we're seeing dividends of big companies who have a choice, decided that this is what we're going to be doing together. Premier Houston, what can I say? Every time we meet, it's about jobs and growth, so we should plan our next meeting very soon, because every time we've been together, we're looking at the next thing we can do together. I want to say to my dear friend, Minister Fraser, and our colleague from our caucus, whether it's Darren, whether it's Cody, Lena, I want to say thank you, because at every step of the way, they were asking me, Minister Champagne, when is the announcement coming? And trust me, when they speak, we listen. And that's why we're here this morning. So I want to say thank you, guys, because at every step of the way, they said, we need to build a future for people in Nova Scotia. And it started in Bridgewater. That's what we're doing this morning. And thank you, Mayor, as well. Every time we meet, it seems to be good. Last time was 4 million. Today it's 44 million. So it's even better every time we see each other. Because, you know, I come from small-town Canada, and 300 million in a community I know can change a lot of things. So I want to say thank you also to my provincial colleagues, because once we decided that this was a priority for all of us, we delivered. And that's the key message, is that when we work together, whether it's federal, whether it's with companies, whether it's our provincial counterparts, municipal counterpart, when we work together, good things happen for Canadians. And that's what I would say Canadians care about. Dear Alexis, I knew from our very first discussion that your vision about making sure that we could aspire to produce the greenest tire in the world here in Canada, that our future would be combined. And that's why I want to say merci, Alexis, d'avoir cru qu'au Canada, on peut être un partenaire privilégié for Michelin. And I want to thank you because I recall that in every step of the way you said. I want to say to the group CEO as well, Florent, who has always said that Canada is the place to be. But I want to say, and the Prime Minister said it very well, but I can't help myself. But there's one thing, if you want me and if you want us to bring more investment, it's thanks to each and every one of you. All the workers that we have in Pictou, that we have in Bridgewater, that we have in Waterville, thanks to the 3,600 people who are here, it's thanks to your know-how, knowledge, and expertise that we can bring these investments. And I want to give you another big round of applause because, trust me, everything we're doing this morning is about you, and it's about your work, and it's about how we can make it together. So you make my job very easy, trust me, because when you say these are the best plants we have and they're in Canada, you can bring that kind of investment. C'est donc évidemment avec beaucoup de fierté que nous nous associons aujourd'hui à Michelin dans un projet pour l'économie du 21e siècle. As you know, and you've seen it, and we heard it this morning, Michelin is one of the most innovative tire manufacturers in the world, and they've been manufacturing groundbreaking products for Canada and North America, and we were talking with Alexis, what is the next step, what we can do together, and I know from my personal experience that at 50, you're just about to roll in. So I would say 50 years is a good time, I would say, Alexis, and I speak with personal experience. It's a good time to see what we can do more together and planning the decades ahead. And we know that it's all about electric mobility. It's about greening the supply chain. And that's what we're doing here today, because we're using innovation to reduce emission, to preserve biodiversity. And obviously, we are on our way to be carbon neutral. But just like Canada, I would say Michelin had the foresight to see where the world is going. And I think the Prime Minister mentioned an announcement like yesterday of Volkswagen. The first thing I think you tell me, Alexis, this morning, that's a customer. So what we're doing, and I think the Prime Minister said it, we're building the ecosystem. So all of these things are reinforcing our position in the world to make sure that we would be the green supplier that customers and companies in the world would want. And what I'm very, very proud to see is that today, it's kind of a new beginning. It's a new chapter because you know what 300 million can do to a plant. And you know that this is about our future and our collective future together. So I would say in closing, I would say let's seize the moment. Let's be ambitious and let's make sure that Canada and Michelin are the green supplier of choice to the world. Thank you to your work, and I look forward to see you very much soon. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. What a wonderful day. We have a wonderful history of manufacturing tires here in Canada for more than 50 years. And I am absolutely thrilled that we're strengthening the competitiveness of our factories here in Nova Scotia. To our employees, both past and present, thank you for all that you have done and continue to do to contribute to our success. To our suppliers and business partners, thanks for your consistent, undying support. To the municipal, provincial, and federal governments, thank you for your collaboration. We are so pleased to see all levels of government working together to strengthen our economy. These investments are so important to our current and future employees, their families, and our communities. And thanks to all of you, this is truly a monumental occasion for our Nova Scotia plants, for our Michelin Canada operations, and for our customers, who are the reason that we exist. I'm so pleased that all of you could be here with us today to celebrate this wonderful event. Thank you.
We will now begin the question and answer period. Nous allons maintenant commencer avec la période des questions. There will be 20 minutes for questions. I will turn it over to the first question.
Good morning, Prime Minister, and welcome to Lunenburg County. I think everybody's happy to see you this morning with this announcement. Kudos to you. Lots of widespread agreement that Beijing did try to interfere in our elections. How do you explain to Canadians that there appears to have been virtually no consequences for the Chinese regime, and a new poll is suggesting a majority of Canadians want public inquiry into election interference? If your rapporteur doesn't call for one, does it put some people's faith in the system at risk?
Excellent question. First of all, we are and have been for a long time extremely concerned about China's actions towards our businesses, towards our researchers, towards communities here in Canada, and also towards politics. That's why, following the 2015 election, we worked to counter election interference by building a number of different processes and bodies around national oversight that would be able to counter and figure out ways to continue to protect our democracy. So there is no question that, yes, there was attempted interference from Beijing into our electoral processes, but it's also because of those processes and verification methods we put into place, confidence that they were not successful in affecting the outcome of those elections. And that's something Canadians need to be reassured about. This is a serious issue that we have always taken seriously, and therefore we're making sure that Canadians will continue to have confidence by appointing an independent expert to look at the entire landscape around national security and election interference from Beijing, but other places as well, and put in place the oversight, the processes, the steps necessary to maintain Canadians' confidence in our democracy and in everything that our national security officials and experts are doing every day to keep Canadians safe. We will continue to take this with the seriousness with which it requires. It's not a partisan issue. It's an issue on which we all need to work together and listen to independent experts, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay. Depuis les débuts, nous avons souligné que c'est une réalité que Pékin et d'autres essayent de s'ingérer dans nos processus démocratiques, comme ils le font dans nos affaires, dans nos recherches, dans nos communautés de diaspora à travers le pays. C'est pour ça que nous avons mis en place des processus, des nouveaux mécanismes depuis 2015 pour s'assurer qu'on est en train de faire tout ce qui est nécessaire pour défendre notre démocratie. C'est d'ailleurs aussi pourquoi nous allons choisir un expert indépendant qui va pouvoir regarder tout ce qu'on est en train de faire, tout ce qu'on a fait, tout ce qu'on devrait être en train de faire dans l'avenir et rassurer les Canadiens qu'effectivement, on a les systèmes en place. Mais les Canadiens peuvent avoir confiance dans le fait qu'à cause de tout ce qu'on a fait jusqu'à présent, on sait que malgré les efforts que Pékin a fait pour s'ingérer dans nos processus démocratiques, ils n'ont pas affecté l'issue des élections en 2019 et 2021.
Prime Minister, can you give us an update on when a decision will be made regarding the rapporteur?
We know how important it is for Canadians to have confidence in our system and to have the right independent expert reassuring of that, because it's not about what one political party says or another. It's about making sure that experts are stepping up to reinforce the integrity of our democratic processes. We are working to appoint that special rapporteur, that special independent expert in the coming days or week. We're working extremely quickly on that.
Next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Callum Smith with Global News. I'm wondering if in English you can provide your reaction to the fatal vehicle collision in Amqui and what your government will do to support the community.
Obviously, our hearts go out to the community in Amqui, the families affected by this horrific incident. Obviously, I want to thank the first responders who were there on the scene and dealing with some extraordinarily difficult moments. Across Quebec, across the country, our hearts go out to a community, small community, tight-knit community that has been devastated by this incident. We all have lots of questions, but right now we're just trying to be there for survivors and families, and we will continue to be there as long as it takes as they get through this difficult time.
On a different note, sir, I'm wondering about the Canada Health Transfer deductions. Your government has said Canadians shouldn't be paying for out-of-pocket medically necessary services. Is this recent reduction a step towards ensuring all private health care paid out of pocket and thus not reimbursable by public insurance is stopped altogether, or are you exclusively focused on diagnostic imaging?
This government has always been there to stand up for our public universal health care. To healthcare, we recognize, support the provinces that deliver healthcare to citizens, but part of the federal government's role is to support the provinces, and they do that financially, but also to ensure that the terms of the Canada Health Act are being met right across the country. Over the past years, we have not hesitated to hold back or pull back money transferred to provinces when it was used in ways that go counter to the Canada Health Act, and we will continue to do that. It is a point of pride, rightly so for Canadians, that we have a universal public health system, but we need that universal public health system to be more effective and to deliver the services that Canadians rightly need, and we're going to make sure that that continues to be done within that public system, within the framework established by the Canada Health Act.
Question, question?
Okay. En tant que gouvernement, nous avons toujours été très clairs sur le besoin de protéger notre système de santé publique à travers le pays. On est un gouvernement qui a retenu et même retiré des fonds des provinces qui ne s'alignaient pas avec les principes de la loi canadienne sur la santé. Nous allons continuer de le faire. Évidemment, nous avons besoin de continuer d'avoir un système public universel. Et nous avons aussi besoin que ce système public universel livre de vrais résultats pour les Canadiens. Et c'est pour ça qu'on est tellement content avec les accords bilatéraux qu'on est en train de signer avec les provinces pour livrer des résultats pour les citoyens d'un bout à l'autre du pays.
Monsieur le Premier ministre, concernant la tragédie d'Amqui, qu'est-ce que le gouvernement fédéral va faire pour prévenir ce genre d'événement?
Évidemment, aujourd'hui, on est là pour aider les familles qui sont en train de vivre des moments inimaginables de douleur et de perte, un sens d'inquiétude et de peine dans cette communauté. Oui, on va être là pour travailler, pour répondre à toutes les questions que les gens ont, mais certainement aujourd'hui, notre emphase, c'est d'abord de remercier les premiers répondants, d'être là pour soutenir la communauté dans ces moments terribles et on va continuer d'être là dans les jours et les semaines et les mois à venir.
Le maire de Port-au-Basque déclarait il n'y a pas longtemps qu'à chaque tempête, les habitants de son village ont très peur que ce soit leur maison qui soit emportée cette fois-ci. On connaît les aides apportées par le gouvernement fédéral, mais comment est-ce que votre gouvernement va s'assurer que la reconstruction après Fiona apporte de meilleures infrastructures qu'avant?
Tout d'abord, dans ma visite à Port-au-Basque, j'ai eu énormément de conversations avec le maire et avec des citoyens qui réfléchissaient vraiment à l'impact des changements climatiques, des événements météorologiques plus extrêmes comme les ouragans qui vont être plus communs malheureusement ces jours-ci. Et donc, toutes ces réflexions sur comment on rebâtit en mieux, comment on s'assure qu'on ne fait plus face à des pertes ou des tragédies comme ils ont eu lors de Fiona. C'est un travail que nous faisons ensemble, les provinces, les territoires et le gouvernement fédéral, mais aussi on se penche énormément sur les experts dans les municipalités pour voir comment et où il faut rebâtir pour être certain d'être plus protégé dans l'avenir.
Next question.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Mike Dutton from the Canadian Press. Nice to see you on the South Shore. You have to decide by the end of the month whether to extend the emergency visa program for Ukrainians that have fled the horrific war. Were there any pitfalls in the program that you're looking to address? And in the next phase of Canada's immigration response to the war, what factors are you weighing when it comes to whether to extend this? And perhaps after you answer, our Minister of Immigration could.
I was going to say I'm happy to be here with Sean Fraser, who I'll turn to for the second half of the answer. But to start off, Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine with everything it takes for as long as it takes. Because it's not just about standing up for a friend and partner country that is being illegally and unjustly invaded. That's a terrible thing, and of course we will continue to support Ukrainians as they fight for their land, their sovereignty, their language, their territory, their future, their right to choose what their future will look like. But it's more than just standing up for Ukraine. Russia is trying to rewrite the world order. It's trying to bring back a time where might becomes right. And I can tell you, around the world, authoritarian leaders are looking very carefully to see whether Putin is successful in this. Because any country that has a slightly larger army than its neighbor might think, oh, okay, if Russia got away with it in Ukraine, we can get away with it here in different parts of the world. And standing up for the international rules-based order, standing up for the UN Charter, standing up for principles that you can't redraw lines on a map through force. You can't invade a peaceful neighbor because you want to or because you've got a 400-year-old dream of empire. These are things that really matter, that led to almost 80 years of unprecedented stability and prosperity for our economies, for our people around the world that Russia chose to break. So standing up for Ukraine and being there to support Ukrainians through this time is important because it's the nice thing to do, it's the right thing to do, and Canada will always be there to do the right thing. But it's also the smart thing to do as we look to a world that is more uncertain in very, very many ways. That's the role that Canada will always play, and we will continue to. And we will continue to be there to support Ukrainian refugees in various ways as necessary. And I'm happy to turn to Sean to give a little more information on that. Minister Fraser.
Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you for the question. Just on the issue of protecting not just the people of Ukraine who are seeking safe haven in Canada, but the very values that we espouse in Canada. I'm reminded of a conversation I had a number of years ago with my grandfather, who was a Second World War vet, who passed away a few years ago at age 99. And he reminded me that you don't need to fight in a war on the other side of the world to defend the values that we care about at home. When I think about the conversations we have around sovereignty and territorial integrity and self-determination of peoples, the very idea that people should have a say in who makes decisions that impact the quality of life that they get to enjoy, it's not enough that we simply speak nice words about these issues, but demonstrate our support for them through our actions. I remember a conversation that I had with Minister Jolie, who called me shortly after the actual invasion latest invasion had begun. And she said, Sean, whatever you're planning to support people who are seeking refuge is not enough. And I don't know what you're planning yet, but I can tell you it's not enough. We started to get reports of millions of people fleeing westerly from Ukraine. And we made the decision at the time to try something new, to offer temporary protection by leveraging the strength of all things of Canada's tourism program, where we're not required to set a capped number of people that we can support, but we can process whatever applications come in. That decision has now provided safe haven to approximately 170,000 people since the beginning of last year. Are there hiccups along the way around impacts on immigration processing? Any hiccups along those lines are well worth the value that we've received when I see not only the opportunity for a person to be safe in Canada, but my experience with the people that I've met is that they are here trying to make a positive contribution. I've met people who are working in our healthcare sector. I've met people actually recently in Ontario who are manufacturing some of the military equipment that's being sent to the front lines, so they feel that they're actually contributing to the war effort from Canada back in their homeland. With respect to the near-term scheduled expiry of the Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel, I hope you'll indulge me in not sharing all of the details on next steps out of respect for some of the stakeholders, in particular members of the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress, who we've been working with to establish what the next version of the program may look like. I expect in a very short period of time we'll have news in advance of the March 31st deadline that we'll be able to share, but not without working very closely. But from my perspective, this is one of the most important things I've ever had the privilege of being involved with. When I see children the same age as my own kids that are going to school and more than anything are safe in our communities, I do this again 100 times out of 100. Thank you.
Prime Minister, there was no dollar amount mentioned in the announcement about Volkswagen building an EV plant in St. Thomas, Ontario. So how much is the federal government providing to Volkswagen for this, and why aren't Canadians, or why haven't they until this moment been told about this basic fact?
Yesterday, Volkswagen put out a press release on this, but I look forward to doing a full announcement in the very near future to highlight all the tremendous impacts of this investment, and all that information will be there. But it really does go to show the vote of confidence that companies around the world are looking at to Canada for. The workers, the quality of supply chains, the resilience, the environmental responsibility, all of these things come together when companies like Michelin or Volkswagen or others make decisions to extend and anchor themselves in our country, not just for a few more years, but for a few more decades at the very least. when I was in Dofasco, in the Dofasco plants in Hamilton, announcing that we were moving from steel produced by coal to steel produced by electric arc in a move that is leading the world. I was meeting third and fourth generation Hamilton steelworkers who now said there's going to be a seventh and an eighth generation working in these Hamilton plants. That's exactly what I heard today, that there are people proud to be second, third, and even fourth generation here at the Bridgewater Michelin plant. And now you know there will be 2, 3, 4 more generations of good jobs here in Bridgewater. And that's what this is about. This is about drawing in investments that demonstrate that, yes, it's a time of change around the world. It's a time of anxiety around climate, around shifting supply chains, around authoritarian governments using their resources as political levers. But that makes it also a time of incredible opportunity for Canadians, for communities right across this country, large and small, to be able to be those reliable partners where a company from around the world can invest in and know for the coming decades they will continue to be incredibly effective and competitive on a world stage where people are caring more and more about how, where, and with what things are made. Canada is extraordinarily well positioned for that, and this, as Volkswagen was, is just another vote of confidence in Canadians themselves.
Last question.
I know the region's hydrogen exporters are looking to the budget for incentives that put them on equal footing with the U.S. and other rivals in this sector. I'm wondering what supports do you feel are necessary to give Canada a competitive advantage?
We know that the world is now getting a lot more competitive in terms of drawing in investments into clean energy, into hydrogen, into advanced manufacturing, into clean technologies, and Canada will continue to be competitive, as we're showing today with Michelin, yesterday with Volkswagen, and with lots of other investments that we've been able to draw to Canada. Just last summer, I was with the German Chancellor in Stephenville, Newfoundland, talking about offshore wind and hydrogen production in a way that is extraordinarily exciting, not just so we can export hydrogen, but we can build hydrogen facilities that will continue to drive our industrial and production processes here in Canada as well. There is an awful lot of excitement, and yes, we, as we did today and as we will continue to do, need to make sure that the financial incentives are there to make us competitive around the world, because showing that we have confidence in investments that are going to be delivering for communities over generations is an important part of stepping up in a world where all sorts of different countries are willing to throw massive amounts of capital to draw in investments. But at the same time, Canada also has tremendous other advantages that is extraordinarily difficult for countries around the world to match. Whether it's the fact that we have trade deals with 2/3 of the global economy. We're the only G7 country with a free trade deal with every other G7 country. We have immediate and close access to the largest market in the world with our free trade deal with the United States. We have natural resources that people are increasingly looking at Russia and China as unreliable suppliers of. We're going to need lithium and cobalt and all the rare earth elements to power the economies of the future, to power the electric vehicles of the future. Canada has all those resources in a reliable supplier that is environmentally responsible and paying people good wages to do that work, which is increasingly more and more important for our allies around the world. We have a growing, diverse population. Our focus on immigration, our openness to immigration that is so visible here in Nova Scotia, is a huge competitive advantage at a time where people are seeing labor shortages in every economy around the world. Knowing that Canada continues to grow its population is a huge selling point for us as people move forward and look to invest. Knowing that we actually have the best educated population in the OECD. Knowing that we have political and social stability. Knowing that we have made clearly the choice of investing in the fight against climate change. Knowing that we continue to build all these advantages with a public healthcare system, a strong education system, good livable communities from coast to coast to coast, partnerships with Indigenous peoples that haven't been easy, but are finally settling into the kind of respect and understanding that we need to be shared stewards of this land and this economy and its resources. These are things countries around the world are looking to Canada and saying, wow, this is a place to come and be. There's a lot of excitement all around the world about Canada right now, and we're just getting started. I am so looking forward to continuing to make great announcements like this over the coming years that are built around the incredible communities like Bridgewater that make Canada such an extraordinary place to live, grow, and invest. Merci beaucoup.
This concludes the press conference.